Yes. So, when was it introduced, the water combat of Monster Hunter? Well, it was introduced in like Monster Hunter 3 that came out on Wii, right? 2007, I think. Yes, indeed, Broccoli. Monster Hunter 3 on Wii. Let's see, fighting monsters that would normally be aquatic sounds very nice since the monsters get to be their full potential. Oh, you thought it was a quiz, Broccoli? Okay. We can make it a quiz. Yeah, that sounds fun. Indeed. See, possibly even see some new moves in monsters that could be semi-aquatic. That sounds lovely, Omega. That sounds lovely. And when did it come back afterwards? Underwater combat. When did it come back afterwards? After Monster Hunter 3? Do you guys know? Do you guys know when it came back? Yes, indeed, Broccoli. It played 3 Ultimate. It is 3 Ultimate indeed. That came out on Wii U. That did come out on Wii U. But you have yet to play a game with underwater combat, so I don't really got a dog in this argument, Omega says. I see. Well, it's alright. It's alright because I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain a bit. So, from there on, I don't think it's going to be a quiz though. I'm going to pretty much read my notes that I had. So, what did the underwater combat introduce? It introduced like unique environments, right? Like the deserted island. That's like a nice, I was going to say Mediterranean, but like you have like the island where your village is, you hunt on it, and you can go a tiny bit in the open water. And that's pretty lovely. Of course, it's area based since it was before Monster Hunter World. But that was nice. You should see the character down somewhere. I totally should do that, Broccoli. That's a very good idea. That's a very, very, very good idea. I actually know where I would go. I know where I would go. But yeah. Like, let's see. So yeah, it brought the unique environments like the deserted island, the flooded forest, as well as the underwater ruins, which have a lot of lore to them. Like this ancient civilization that was there, you know. Actually, give me a second, because I'm breaking everything. Okay, hopefully that will work and that won't break everything. Yes, that works. Good. So that's the first time I tried to do a bit of talking before. But yeah. Are you going to have some delicious coffee, Broccoli? Are you going to have some delicious coffee? Why don't I put it like this? Like so. There we go. You're skeptical about it, but I wanted to try it. I think I know which coffee you're talking about. I think I know which one you're talking about. So yeah. So yeah, it introduced some very nice maps that are very iconic. The deserted island is very liked by people, by character, by players. And it introduced some very memorable monsters too, like Recluse, which is the flagship of Monster Hunter 3. And people have wanted it to come back again and again and again. But it didn't, except in Generations Ultimate. But you can see even in that game that it's more of an aquatic creature and it's pretty gimped on land. You wish you would have some snow, broccoli, I understand that. And Kyoko, same, I would have to go to the mountain to see snow. I see, we're all in snowless areas, I think. There's the Gopool, I like the Gopool. The Gopool is a very nice monster too. I think it was kind of a wall for a lot of players, a sort of wall. And it introduced to the final boss of the solo player, of the single player, which is the Cedos, this kind of like whale monster, gigantic aquatic creature that you fight in the underwater ruins, and you use like the Dragonators underwater and the ballistas that still work even when submerged. It's very epic and it has such good music too. Da 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 da. Ba 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 ba. Omega Galactus was supposed to be in the world, but its skeleton didn't work. Indeed, they had a lot of trouble with like the terrain. I think that was what was up with that. So yeah, so the underwater combat, like the hunter jumped in a big mass of water, right? And you could swim in pretty much every angle, 360 degrees. The moveset of the weapons could change, like not all weapons kept the same same movesets, and that confused a lot of players, indeed. And a lot of people had troubles with it because of that too. And there was no panic dive. That means you couldn't do like this Superman dive to dodge all damage. You would have to really dodge, like up and down, for example. And that was very tricky. That was very tricky because the monsters had some big hitboxes. But the oxygen, there was an oxygen level too, but it depleted pretty slowly. That wasn't too much of an issue, really. So as far as I understand, like players didn't really appreciate it that much. I mean, some liked it, some disliked it, some were neutral. So it was a mixed reception. A lot of players disliked the slow pace of the underwater combat, indeed, and the change to the weapon movesets. And it was overall feeling a bit clunky, which is why they disliked it. And the flooded forest, for example, had such a low visibility too. It was hard to orient since it was kind of small underwater, and you could find a plesiof in it, which would be so much bigger, right? And it would take a big space, a big chunk of the map, and you couldn't really dodge it easily, and a lot of players disliked it because of that. My answer to that is like a heavy bowgun, normal 3 ammos, siege underwater, that works perfectly. But overall, like, it had its flaws, but it had a lot of strength too. Like, what should I say? The atmosphere it contributed to the game was unrivaled. Nothing in Monster Hunter like was quite like this, even in the future, like this underwater theme. That was really great, really great. So yeah, it brought unique maps, unique mechanics, unique monsters that we've never seen before, and that don't happen anymore. So how could it come back? I think it could come back in Monster Hunter 6 personally. I think it could come back in Monster Hunter 6. I mean, there's the new more powerful hardware, the PS5, the Xbox Series X, the PCs, right? Bring out the potential of the underwater combat and its mechanics. I mean, in World we got the clutch claw, in Rise we got the wire bugs, so mobility shouldn't be an issue anymore underwater. Maybe Sunbreak 2 Tyrant Omega, maybe Sunbreak 2. I actually have a theory about that, I will share in a second. But there could be a sort of clutch claw that you could use underwater. I could see it very well being used underwater. There was someone that made a mock-up indeed. There was someone that made a mock-up of Rise with underwater combat and wirebugs walked underwater, and that was kind of cool actually. So maybe they're like half aquatic creatures, you know, like if you already have wirebugs on your hunter, maybe you can have like a wire fish. Maybe you can have a wire fish and you could like throw it forward in the water and pull on it and pull yourself. That could be cute. I think you could revisit Moga and the region around it, right? Moga and the region around it. Like Yukumo and Kamura were. Oh, a second. Like, you know, Kamura Village in Rise and Yukumo from Portable Third are pretty close to each other actually. Geographically, they share a bit of the same culture. That means that you could see the same thing in Monster Hunter 6. There could be Moga close by, but you would be in another, like, water village, so to say. So, oh my god, wait, never mind, that probably involves revamping Flooded Forest. Yeah, I see. But, let's see. Yukumo kind of has its own vibe and Kamura has its vibe. Their vibes are similar. It's, you know, oriental. That's around the same region. That's what I mean. They're not totally the same, but they are situated in the same region, as far as I'm aware. So, you could have... Let's see, I will tell you about a map that I think would be good. And it would be a large open sea, and you're going to go find endemic life in it, like world, and you're going to free hunt in it. Like, it's kind of like the free hunt area of the game. An open sea, so to say, and you could go deeper as you ranked up, right? You could go deeper in this place, in this sea, where you would find more stronger monsters the deeper you went. That's how I would separate it. Like, a bit like Subnautica actually, a bit like Subnautica. It would slowly go deeper, the biomes would change underwater and stronger monsters would be there. And you could reach it a bit like a sort of underwater elevator maybe. You could have like the start area of the game. The first hunts you go to would be a forest with a deep lake at the center that would like give you the forest part, and you would have the underwater part too that would give you, should I say, a first taste of what underwater is like. There would be some easy monsters in there to fight. Let's see, underwater runes maybe? I love underwater runes. Yes, exactly. You could bring back the underwater runes and it would work super well with different tunnels underwater. Exploring the runes in a very much detailed way that's not cramped by like invisible walls everywhere, you know what I mean? Like maybe you could exit at the top of the map where water and where light comes through. You could have a new weapon type that would be a harpoon, that would be similar to the insect glaive. You know, like the gun lance is like similar to the lance, but it has its own unique mechanic to it. You could have the brother of the insect glaive, which would be a harpoon, and you could hook onto the monster and pull yourself to it, a bit like the magnet spikes in Frontier. And I think that would be really great. There was a leak a few years ago that was Monster Hunter Victory, which was like the exclusive Switch title, and it had underwater combat and a harpoon, a bit like what I described. But I don't know if it had the pulling effect. It was the coffee. It is a very nice coffee. It's the Moomin mug. It's nice. So let's see. So you could have like the Lagiacrus and the Abyssal Lagiacrus too, like the strongest subspecies of Lagiacrus at the end game, at the lowest depth of like the Freon Sea. Cedos could be there too, actually. It would be big enough to host the Cedos, since Cedos likes to go deeper into sea and oceans. And I think that you could have so the lowest depth actually of this Freon Sea would not be the abyss. Like you could see actually the chasm, so to say, the ravine that you could go to, but you wouldn't be able to cross it. It would be too dangerous, and the pressure would be too strong for your hunter to go in the abyss, to swim down there. But at the lowest depth of this Freon Sea, you could see the entrance to the abyss. That would be pretty big. And you could have siege battles there. Siege battles in the abyss in a submarine. Submarines exist in Monster Hunter. They do exist in Monster Hunter. You could have the adult Gobul as a siege monster, because adult Gobul is supposed to be immense and live in the abyss. That's its lore, I think. And so you could have a submarine, right? Because submarines exist in Monster Hunter. In Rise, the Palicos have submarines. And that means they have the technology, like technology is advancing in Monster Hunter. Which means you could probably have a submarine made out of metal. They have very strong metals in Monster Hunter. They could probably have submarines with a Dragonator attached to it, a bit like the sand ships and maybe ballistas, underwater ballistas, these kind of things. You could have a cousin of the Cedos 2 of the Cedos 2 in the abyss that would be bigger and scarier, and maybe it would be based on like the killer whale. Maybe that would be nice, like a new final boss of the abyss, right? That you would take on with your submarine. You would I don't know if you would move the submarine, but it would be a bit like the sand ship, I think, against the Jan Moran. So kind of like an underwater Jan Moran. So yeah, actually, it's the Monster Hunter Sunbreak. You were mentioning, Omega, that maybe in Sunbreak we would see it, and I thought, if we're going to go to the land where Rondine comes from, where they have this queen, right? Maybe they have another water fleet. Maybe that's their whole shtick. They have a submarine fleet, and you would go there and you would borrow a submarine to be able to hunt these monsters in the abyss that could come up and devastate the fleet of the queen if you don't take care of them beforehand.